got more, but I think I should say this. The Yoruba culture and tradition and the Omoluabis in the Yorubas, all of these can be found in our language. I don't know what it is like anymore, especially for this generation of young Yorubas. But when people like us were growing up, we were raised to try to be noble. You know what I mean? It is such a thing that every young Yoruba aspired to be noble. And how do you become a noble Yoruba? Being noble means, becoming noble, a noble Yoruba, comes from hard work that a lot of us or our own progenitors they had to show, where people tried and did become the best in every of their chosen field. But when people like us were growing up, we had a lot of people, role models to look up to in different fields: academia, business, research, travel, culture, tradition, royalty. We have a lot of role models that you could read beyond the title that actually really carries. You can read more about their contribution, okay, to the growth and expansion of this same Yoruba culture, tradition, language, and all that. Until some of them got baptized and recruited into the backward, non-progressive contraption politics of Nigeria, the selfish parts. And then they all stopped caring about what really makes us Yorubas. They are more interested on how to show or display their ill-gotten wealth, that it doesn't really matter anymore where you make your money from. Just make it. Okay? Do some charity here and there, philanthropies here and there, become a shifter and sitter, like to the point that people like me are now saying known career criminals, not only becoming titled holders in Yoruba land, they are holding sensitive positions in Yoruba land, like even the royalty. And the result of that is what we have in our society today, where all the things that used to make us outstanding, like education, the successive criminals in Yoruba land have now turned education into about an education help, who's school help. It's a pandemic that you see a 14, 15-year-old planning on how to become so wealthy, thinking of money rituals. And like, it used to be like things of outliers. Like you say, oh, maybe it's because of the family this individual comes from. They bastardized the tradition of Yoruba land. They destroyed the generation of Yorubas that could possibly push and take forward this glorious race. They turned our people into scavengers. They turned them into beggars. Education is now like, who education help? Agbero is now writing a book for professors to read. Yoruba tradition has become so bastardized that we now have those who are mounting the Yoruba traditional stools, kneeling down in front of their foreign religions. Kneeling down in churches, in mosques. Alaji, alajas, deacon, deaconess, pastor, they want to be royal fathers. They are becoming royal fathers in Yoruba land. And guess what? They are doing everything they could to tear apart everything that actually hold us dear. And I'll tell you one. In Yoruba land, while I was growing up, don't be say bad people no day. But we had a system that you had a choice. You have to do everything within your power never to become that other people for the sake of your family. That name. I was raised to believe that my name is so valuable than anything in this world. No wealth, no riches is as valuable as that my name. So that when you hear that name, I was raised to work hard so much, right? Not to get involved in anything that is going to end up tarnishing that name. But while I was growing up, the whole world changed. The criminals who were supposed to be looking up to, I mean, the people who were supposed to be looking up to, they were real criminals who don't give a damn about anything tradition. Now we started having drug dealers. We started having human traffickers, complete fraudsters, holding royal stools, holding this position and that position, misleading our people until value doesn't really matter anymore. It is what you have to show. The money, they say. How much money do you have? Who is your father? And all that stuff. So yeah, today is Isese Day. Maybe it's also an opportunity for some of you to have a reflection. What kind of children are we raising? And where do we think they are going to grow up? The children, they denied education, denied proper infrastructure. Yoruba land was supposed to be the beacon of education, especially in the entire West Africa when it started. Now we have Agberos. We even have people who are kind of educated, but they are aspiring to be Agberos because you have to survive in the economy created by these criminals. To the point that we now have uneducated, miseducated, unemployed, unemployable, unproductive, hateful, bigoted, focal. I mean, what do you call that one again? Is that not called like a directionless? Yes. Directionless young Yorubas who have become parrots for the same people that are mortgaging their lives and their future. We are seeing it. You know the saddest thing out, by the way? My own forebearers, as bad as they might say Nigeria was, they were not like rich, but they were not poor. I figured out that in their own time, most of the things that a lot of us these days, the age of 30, 40, 50, still finding so hard to put together, they've done them. And they did them in such a way that some of us look back and be like, this is my father's land. Today, you have no land of yours. You have no inheritance because some of them have probably either taken away from you or you've sold them. Some of us at the age of 30, 40, can't even hold together a family. No skill, no education, no direction, and all of that. And these are the creation of the rogues who believes that all they need is just to be old. And therefore, they are immune from from taking responsibility for all their actions. They gaslight the people. They turned the people that were supposed to be thinking on how to further make Yoruba land better or so, working on how to, or possibly transferring their hatred or their aggression, right? They are transferring the aggression into an hatred as directed by the same rogues who destroyed them. Don't make me sound like, what are you talking about? I'll tell you. These guys destroyed Yoruba land and they destroyed a lot of younger generation. And some of them are today, they are watching me. They are in their 60s. They are in their late 50s. They watched the land degenerated, the institutions desecrated. But they are never angry at those who did all of that. They are angry at others that did them nothing. today is August 20. We're supposed to be seeing the Ronukus mobilizing and then chasing away the Igbos from Yoruba land. Because no matter what is wrong with us in Yoruba land, there is a fragment, minute, inconsequential, loud mouth, bad starts that would rather blame somebody else. Like these guys who threatened just 3 weeks ago. I was expecting them to come out today. Inconsequential lots. Sewage dwellers.
So Yoruba, we should stop complaining because we need to protest. We need to come out and protest. Igbo are disrespecting our institution. They disrespect our traditional ruler. They disrespect all our headers. And they can't take it in their own space. Therefore, we must not fold our hand. I just have to tell everybody this. This protest, Igbo must go, and the scrap of a unitary system is a must, and it's coming, and it's going to be loud. It's going to, whoever that want to die should go and die. It's in our space. This is our heritage. This is the land our father fought for. And we will not allow anybody, no matter how many acres of land you buy, it is our land. And your land, your purchased land have expired time. Therefore, you cannot claim ownership. So, thank you, Madam Majoke, for that.
Sir, let me just quickly say this. I appreciate you, sir, Baba Omega. But we need to be very careful so that we don't play into the hands of the enemies. We are still within the context of Nigeria, and asking for the expulsion of any ethnicities within our space. We can make statements like that, but we need to be very, very careful of the diplomatic consequences of how they are going to twist it. We live in a place where people are naturally very, very manipulative already. So I support that the end should come against the unitary system of government. But the issue of saying any ethnicities must be forced out of our space cannot be. We need to be very careful. You can be accused of terrorism, incitement, or any other thing.
So
bunch of clowns. But I like that last guy, It's probably like a reasonable guy that felt like, come on, guys, come on. People like say this hatred where with the push for Tifnumbu. People like say we don't take them too far. Let's use our sense. So you cannot sit in America or sit in the UK and think you are like, you are like faceless. Be careful. If you sit in America and you're asking the people who can't even buy Gary to go and buy kerosene and start attacking Igbos, they go find you. So that was kind of like one sensible guy in there. Indeed. Yorubas, generally, let me say this as well. A lot of us, I don't know if probably we can say it's a means of indoctrination. I doubt if we have less than 80% Yorubas. I'm talking about the real Yorubas, so that wasn't raised to believe that one day, Yoruba is going to be a nation. I don't think there is any, because there's always this part of our growing up. It's about Yoruba, Western region. Western region. Man, we could have been a country. Or West, that kind of thing. Many of us were raised that way, that no matter how long it takes, Yoruba is going to be out of Nigeria. And I bet you that is the reason why some of those people parading themselves, that's why they led those criminals, Tifnumbu and his gang, they actually milk that opportunity. Because, again, I don't know about some of you, the Gen Z and then Gen Alpha, but I can tell you this, that all of us who were born in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and maybe early 90s, Yorubas, even through our educational system, we were raised and reminded of what we used to be like, the Western region. And if I'm lying, somebody should tell me here. Depends on where you went to school. So there was always that mentality. There's always that expectation that, someday we're going to get out of this place. And those who milked that got a lot of Yorubas interested in Nigeria politics because they made them believe that they were standing for the Yorubas' agenda. Agendas like restructuring, agendas like, regional autonomy. Agendas like that are so familiar with Yorubas. Even Peking, we be Peking for Yoruba land when I was growing up. But they fumbled that to what it is, okay? So it's a normal thing for us that if we have genuine people who can show the pathway of how we are actually going to either get out of this contraption, or cut ourselves an autonomy that is going to keep us safer from this madness to some extent. It is going to happen. But you can easily tell those who are like chancers, liars, opportunists, who knows that an average Yoruba person is always going to align with anything that says Yoruba nation, and Yoruba will get this, so Yoruba will be that eventually. They knew it, so they told them. They were shouting Yoruba nation, Yoruba nation. Then immediately, Tinubu and his gang, immediately they are now in charge of Nigeria, where they can buy themselves, whatever they want and all that. Yorubas who are also part of that suffering and hardship in the contraption, they do not really matter anymore to these who claim to be pro-Yoruba. How is Tinubu pro-Yoruba? Enough that none of them can say, look at what he's doing for you. As a Yoruba people, look at what Tinubu has done for you. You cannot compare yourself with others. Look, the other places are complaining about expensive food in Yoruba land or more. You can, they say, and that's because of Tinubu. Imagine, make I give you an instance, right? Imagine, let's say you are not a Yoruba Ponu. Okay, let's say Ponu. Okay, let's assume that as people they complain things add. A bag of rice is sold for 90,000, 95,000. But somehow in Yoruba land, a bag of rice is just 15,000 naira. How did they do it? We don't know. With 5,000 naira, you can go to the hospital in Yoruba land, and by the time you leave, they will give you medication that is worth more than 100,000 naira. I have been there because they have subsidized their healthcare in Yoruba land. Everyone who has, heart problems, special, medical conditions in Yoruba land or more, they get special treatment. They get, the doctor sees them every now and then. So imagine, everybody, the Nigerian national grid is collapsing. Yeah. But Yoruba land have 24 hours electricity, 24 hours a running train. See this one. So you want Tinubu to do all of that in 1 year? No. I'm not saying he should do it in 1 year. At least if you want to do something for 4 years, you must start showing what you are building, Abi. I'm just saying that let's assume that that's your situation. Okay? That is your situation. Amayego is here criticizing Tinubu because other people are not enjoying it. But you are a Yoruba, living in Yoruba land, enjoying cheap medical treatment, enjoying cheap food, enjoying cheap housing, enjoying electricity, and having all these things. And now you are abusing my ego. Shut up your mouth. You are just someone Ali. Instead of you to support your brother, show you right to some extent, even though I can still win you and say you are selfish. Let's assume that the Yoruba land is enjoying all of this. Mayegun is now condemning APC, condemning Tinubu. If you abuse me that time, to some extent, one on the right, Even though I will still beat you and say, Tifnumbu is not the president of Yoruba land, it's the president of Nigeria, Abi. But these criminals know say you are suffering. You can't pay your children's school fees. Your children are dropping out of schools. You are losing family members too because you cannot afford 10,000, 5,000, 20,000 naira hospital bill. Baba, you have lost your family because you can't take care of them. Look at your children, see what they are going through. Look at yourself. You never used to be like this. Now somebody is coming on and telling you that. Don't listen to anybody. Let us give them time. I'm talking to you directly. Those of you who probably get this message. Would you believe that? Don't listen to him. So you are suffering. They are just telling you to stop. Don't complain. You are a Yoruba. Eh? Let us support our brother. Babakidofe Koshe, what do they want you to do to support Tifnumbu? That me then tell you. Maybe if they tell you, you can do it, Abi, and life will be easier. Eh? Abi, won't you be interested? Let's even just be neutral now. Let's use neutrality now. That if you know, if Tifnumbu, they say, we need to support, we all need to come together and support. Thank you. What kind of support do you really need to make things better? You realize that they just want you to shut up. Just shut up and die. You are not the only one hungry. Just shut up. What are you doing about the hunger? Shut up your mouth. Are you the only one that is hungry? Just stop talking about it. Let's talk about Bibi Niger. Oh, let us talk about the Igbos. The Igbos are buying all the shops. They are insulting our Oba. They are insulting our leader. Irony, should every time when they tell you that the Igbos are insulting our leader. Now, because say people, everybody they call Tifnumbu drug dealer. Certificate forger. And you see, if me, Mayegun, Yoruba, if I say it, they don't know how to abuse. They don't know what to say to me. Because they are talking about Yoruba criminals, right? And I don't like criminals, whether na Yoruba, whether na Hausa, whether na Fulani, I don't care who you are. I will actually say what you are doing before I even call you a criminal. Did you hear what that Igbo man said? What did he say? He just called Tifnumbu. He just called Ashiwaju a drug dealer. Can you imagine? This is how the Igbos are insulting the Yoruba. Abon Shiri. Now call is a drug dealer. Or do you think it was like why do you think Tifnumbu is not suing anybody for calling him a druggie? He's a drug abuser. He's a drug user. He is also a drug dealer. He's a drug banker. Accountant for drug dealers. Kí ló ń ṣe now? So mo to North America láti try láti stop we come and expose the FBI file ni. Show wine one. Person we talk saying go school before they even founded the school. He attended the school before they founded it. He went to school as a female. So if I say it now, what do you call that? I'm insulting my leader. You and your leader. A bunch of low self-esteem buffoons, cretins, cretinians. They will sit down there and watch my video and get mad, and then they'll go and talk about me later, and I won't even see the video. Tifnumbu does not represent Yoruba. It doesn't give a damn about Yoruba people or Yoruba. It doesn't give a damn about you. The only way Tifnumbu can show that he actually loves Yoruba is when his policy is your president now. When his policy lifts you out of poverty, not recruit you and your next 10 generation into poverty. Do you know that some of you, if that contraption continues, some of you, your generation to the 5th, to the 6th, so if you're going fake with the level of indebtedness they have put forward in Nigeria, 10th generation, they are going to be born into poverty. That's why we're asking them, break it up now. They say, no, don't break it now. We can break it up after Tifnumbu. You get that? And therefore, let us just look for who to blame and possibly who to attack. And I support that. You know, these are a bunch of criminals, okay? They do not represent the majority of Yoruba people. Anyone who is running his legitimate business in Yoruba land, yeah, that's what we need. A plural, you know, the plurality, they say, right? The plurality where everyone comes and build a community that